How are you doing, guys? Hello as always. I thought today I'd do something different. Instead of hearing my dulcet tones over and over again, I thought what I'd do, because I do public speaking, I actually thought I'd do most inspiring speeches I've ever heard. And I think in business, particularly as leaders, as entrepreneurs, we can sometimes be fearful of being inspired. We're worried about the what ifs, and they're generally always negative, but actually the art of the possible is what should give all of us hope and give us aspirations and motivations. So I thought doing a video that's purely about inspiration, because it comes in all shapes, all sizes, and great leaders don't all run big business, and I think you'll notice, and it's deliberate in the videos you're going to see, that all of these people, all of the videos that I'm going to show you are not leaders of FTSE, NASDAQ companies. That's not what it's about. Inspiration can be found in the strangest places and from people you might not expect it. But ultimately, if something they say is meaningful, it's meaningful regardless of what they do for a living. And I think it's a great message for any one of us who wants to be a leader, who wants to be a motivator, who wants to be an entrepreneur. Along the way, you're going to need people. In one shape or another, you're going to need people. And the greatest entrepreneurs have the ability to inspire their people. And these videos inspired me, so I thought I'd share some of those with you. So the first one's up is my man Denzel. Graduation speech. It's epic.
I found that nothing in life is worthwhile unless you take risks. Nothing. Nelson Mandela said, "There is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that's less than the one you're capable of living." Now, I'm sure in your experiences in school and applying to college and picking your major and deciding what you want to do with life, I'm sure people have told you to make sure you have something to fall back on. Make sure you got something to fall back on, honey. But I never understood that concept, having something to fall back on. If I'm going to fall, I don't want to fall back on anything except my faith. I want to fall forward. I figure at least this way I'll see what I'm going to hit. Fall forward. This is what I mean. Reggie Jackson struck out 2,600 times in his career, the most in the history of baseball. But you don't hear about the strikeouts. People remember the home runs. Fall forward. Thomas Edison conducted 1,000 failed experiments. Did you know that? I didn't know that. Because the 1,001st was the light bulb. Fall forward. Every failed experiment is one step closer to success. You've got to take risks, and I'm sure you've probably heard that before, but I want to talk to you about why that's so important. First, you will fail at some point in your life. Accept it. You will lose. You will embarrass yourself. You will suck at something. There's no doubt about it. And I know that's probably not a traditional message for a graduation ceremony, but hey, I'm telling you, embrace it, because it's inevitable. And I should know. But here's the thing. I didn't quit. I didn't fall back. There's an old saying, you hang around the barbershop long enough, sooner or later you're going to get a haircut. So you will catch a break, and I did catch a break. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. What are you going to do with what you have? I'm not talking about how much you have. Some of you are business majors. Some of you are theologians, nurses, sociologists. Some of you have money. Some of you have patience. Some of you have kindness. Some of you have love. Some of you have the gift of long suffering. Whatever it is, whatever your gift is, what are you going to do with what you have? All right, now here's my last point about failure. Sometimes it's the best way to figure out where you're going. Your life will never be a straight path, because taking risk is not just about going for a job. It's also about knowing what you know and what you don't know. It's about being open to people and to ideas, to be open to life, to accept new views, and to be open to new opinions. Because the chances you take, the people you meet, the people you love, the faith that you have, that's what's going to define you. Never be discouraged. Never hold back. Give everything you got. And when you fall throughout life, remember this: fall forward. Remember that just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. Don't confuse movement with progress. Anything you want good, you can have. So claim it. Work hard to get it. When you get it, reach back. Pull someone else up. Each one, teach one. Don't just aspire to make a living. Aspire to make a difference.
This next one can be difficult to watch. It's about a guy who is still a paddleboarder, and then something that happens that changes his life. But when I watched this, I was just taken aback by the way he faced into his challenges. And I think, as with all great speeches, there's a great message behind it, but it's one of hope, it's one of inspiration, and it shows that you should never be beaten.
When facing rough waters, we have two options: sink or swim. I teach stand-up paddleboarding in front of the Toronto skyline. I take great pride in building others up, in sharing my passion, in keeping people safe out there, being on the waters where I feel most confident, most alive. And then it hit. The biggest wave. I didn't see it coming. 8 months ago today, as a 35-year-old, my chickenpox virus from when I was a kid reactivated in my ear. When shingles attacks your eyes, your ears, it's called Ramsay-Hunt syndrome. It's rare. In a very short period of time, 5 days, my life altered. A medical misdiagnosis, a missed 72-hour window for treatment, caused damage to my 5th, 7th, and 8th cranial nerve, facial paralysis, vertigo, dizziness, speech and vision problems, permanent hearing damage, pain said to be worse than the shattering of kneecaps. But the scariest of all, I lost my sense of balance. I've been in vestibular rehab therapy, retraining my brain ways to walk normally ever since. On April the 2nd of this year, I sat in a specialist's office. With tears streaming down my face, I was told, "This is going to be devastating considering what you do. Your paddleboarding no longer a reality." It's not a reality. I'm now the unbalanced paddleboarder. My mental health deteriorated very quickly. I need help processing everything. Sitting at home a short time later, an email came through from the Canadian Safe Boating Council asking me to be their water safety expert for their media day. I called my friends in the paddling community and I said, "Please come help me." And they said, "Yes, of course." A day of exhaustion. It was awesome. And then my friends asked me to test the waters, get on a board for the first time. I've been paddleboarding several times since that day. I've even stood up for short periods. The tsunamis in our lives that take us down all look very different. Saying yes again brought me back up to the surface. When we say yes to ourselves one time, yeah, just once, it makes it easier for us to say yes to ourselves the next time. 2 yeses became 3, and 3 became 5, and before I knew it, I'd stopped saying no to myself. Things may look different when we get back up to the surface, but as you gradually start saying yes to yourselves more and more, you will feel that crushing pressure go away. The water now rushing out, the oxygen filling your lungs again, and you will breathe. You're still you. Paddles up.
This next one's a guy in the US Navy, and it's the merits of making your bed in the morning. Something so simple, so easy, yet when delivered with context and power, actually so significant. So another great one. I've watched this a few times actually, and it never ceases to amaze me, the impact that it has.
If you want to change the world, start off by making your bed. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another. And by the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made. That you made. And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. To pass SEAL training, there are a series of long swims that must be completed. One is the night swim. Before the swim, the instructors joyfully brief the students on all the species of sharks that inhabit the waters off San Clemente. They assure you, however, that no student has ever been eaten by a shark, at least not that they can remember. But you are also taught that if a shark begins to circle your position, stand your ground. Do not swim away. Do not act afraid. And if the shark, hungry for a midnight snack, darts towards you, then summons up all your strength and punch him in the snout, and he will turn and swim away. There are a lot of sharks in the world. If you hope to complete the swim, you will have to deal with them. So if you want to change the world, don't back down from the sharks. Over a few weeks of difficult training, my SEAL class, which started with 150 men, was down to just 42. There were now 6 boat crews of 7 men each. I was in the boat with the tall guys, but the best boat crew we had was made up of the little guys, the Munchkin crew, we called them. No one was over 5'5". The Munchkin boat crew had 1 American Indian, 1 African American, 1 Polish American, 1 Greek American, 1 Italian American, and 2 tough kids from the Midwest. They out-paddled, outran, and outswam all the other boat crews. The big men in the other boat crews would always make good-natured fun of the tiny little flippers the Munchkins put on their tiny little feet prior to every swim. But somehow these little guys from every corner of the nation and the world always had the last laugh, swimming faster than everyone and reaching the shore long before the rest of us. SEAL training was a great equalizer. Nothing mattered but your will to succeed, not your color, not your ethnic background, not your education, not your social status. If you want to change the world, measure a person by the size of their heart, not by the size of their flippers. If I have learned anything in my time traveling the world, it is the power of hope. The power of one person, a Washington, a Lincoln, King, Mandela, and even a young girl from Pakistan, Malala. One person can change the world by giving people hope. So if you want to change the world, start each day with a task completed. Find someone to help you through life. Respect everyone. Know that life is not fair and that you will fail often. But if you take some risks, step up when the times are the toughest, face down the bullies, lift up the downtrodden, and never ever give up. If you do these things, the next generation and the generations that follow will live in a world far better than the one we have today. And what started here will indeed have changed the world for the better.
From an actor, Charlie Day. It's a great speech for how you should view life, how you should be motivated, how you should strive to be your best. And I think he, in a very short space of time, puts it across really succinctly and really quite brilliantly.
Don't wait for your break, make your break. Go make it happen for yourself. You cannot let a fear of failure or a fear of comparison or a fear of judgment stop you from doing what's going to make you great. You cannot succeed without this risk of failure. You cannot have a voice without the risk of criticism. And you cannot love without the risk of loss. And people will tell you to do what makes you happy. But a lot of this has been hard work. And I'm not always happy. And I don't think you should do just what makes you happy. I think you should do what makes you great. Do what's uncomfortable and scary and hard, but pays off in the long run. Be willing to fail. Let yourself fail. Fail in the way, in the place where you would want to fail. Fail, pick yourself up, and fail again. Because without this struggle, what is your success anyway? We have one life. In it, you have to trust your own voice, your own ideas, your honesty, your vulnerability, and through this you will find your way. You do not have to be fearless. Just don't let fear stop you.
The last one. Although it's a very long speech, I've not played it all. I've taken parts of it, but I'd encourage any of you, if you like what he's saying, to kind of dig out some of his other pieces, because it's really interesting, his outlook on life, and he's almost unapologetic for how pure and how simple he believes we can make life, because we all know the rights and wrongs, we all know what we shouldn't do, and we all know what makes us great or what doesn't, and he's quite direct in the way he does it, but it really does capture you and make you kind of think that it can be that easy if I allow it to be that easy. So another good one coming up.
Do you love your wife? Yes. Prove it. Like, what's the metric? Give me the number that helps me know, right? Because when you met her, you didn't love her, right? Now you love her, right? Tell me the day the love happened. It's an impossible question. She didn't fall in love with you because you remembered her birthday and bought her flowers on Valentine's Day. She fell in love with you because when you woke up in the morning, you said good morning to her before you checked your phone. She fell in love with you because when you went to the fridge to get yourself a drink, you got her one without even asking. She fell in love with you because when you had an amazing day at work and she came home and she had a terrible day at work, you didn't say, yeah, but let me tell you about my day. You sat and listened to her awful day and you didn't say a thing about your amazing day. This is why she fell in love with you. I can't tell you exactly what day, and it was no particular thing you did. It was the accumulation of all of those little things that she woke up one day and as if she pressed a button, she goes, I love him, right? Leadership is exactly the same. There's no event. There's no thing I can tell you you have to do that your people will trust you. It just doesn't work that way. It's an accumulation of lots and lots of little things that anyone by themselves is innocuous and useless. Literally, pointless by themselves. People will look at little things that are good leadership practices and say, that won't work. And you're absolutely right. But if you do it consistently, and you do it in combination with lots of other little things, like saying good morning to someone, that looking them in the eye. My friend George, who's a 3-star general in the Marine Corps, he says his test for leadership, and I love this, he goes, his test for a good leader is if you ask somebody how their day is going, you actually care about the answer. Right? The number of times we're walking to a meeting, we're rushing, we go, how are you? Not good, I got to get to you later, I'm late for a meeting. Right. If you ask the question, you were standing there and you were listening to the answer. It's those little innocuous things that you do over and over and over and over that people will say, I love my job. Not I like my job. I like my job means, yeah, the challenge is great, they pay me well, I like the people. I love my job means, I don't want to work anywhere else. I don't care how much somebody else is willing to pay me. I'm devoted to the people here, and I care desperately about the people here as if they were my family. In business, we have colleagues and coworkers. In the military, they have brothers and sisters. That's how they think of each other, right? If you really have a strong corporate culture, the people will think of each other like brothers and sisters. It's like a family, right? No, brothers and sisters. Deep love. Fight, but the love doesn't go away, right? Bicker, the love doesn't go away. And I'll fight with my sister, but if you threaten my sister, you're going to have to deal with me.
Right.
Right? We'll fight internally, we'll bicker with each other, but nobody's going to hurt each other, and if anything from the outside shows up, you're looking at a unified front. Brothers and sisters. Now, how do you create brothers and sisters out of strangers? Common beliefs, common values, parents, in other words, executives who care about their children's success, who care to raise their children, teach them skills, discipline them when necessary, help them build their self-confidence so that they can go on and achieve something more than you could have ever imagined achieving for yourself. The one thing I am comfortable saying that all effective leaders must have is courage, because it is hard. It is hard to stand up against outside pressure. It is hard to stand up to an external constituency who's pushing you to do something for their short-term gain, to do the right thing for your people. It is hard. It is thankless. It is lonely. Sometimes you get fired. Sometimes you get in trouble. Sometimes you'll lose your job and the next guy will get all the credit. It's all true. And the courage to do the right thing in the face of overwhelming pressure, only the best leaders have that courage. Only the best leaders. And here's the folly. Courage is not some deep internal fortitude. You don't dig down deep and find the courage, right? It just doesn't exist. Courage is external. Our courage comes from the support we feel from others. In other words, when you feel that someone has your back, when you know that the day that you admit you can't do it, someone will be there and say, I got you. You can do this. That's what gives you the courage to do the difficult thing. It's not going off to an ashram by yourself somewhere for 4 weeks and coming back and finding the courage. It's not what happens. It's the relationships that we foster. It's the people around us who love us and care about us and believe in us. And when we have those relationships, we will find the courage to do the right thing. And when you act with courage, that in turn will inspire those in your organization to also act with courage. In other words, it's still an external thing. That's what inspiration is, right? I'm inspired to follow your example. But those relationships that we foster over the course of a lifetime will not only make us into the leaders we need to be and hope we can be, but they'll often save your life.
So, as always, like, subscribe, thanks for staying with me, and we'll keep coming out with the content, guys. Nice one. Take it easy. Bye.